want my students to have an internal transformation. Now, I also want them to achieve health, flexibility, strength, longevity, sanity. Yeah? But I'm not interested in creating Hindu influenced gymnasts and leaving their personality the same. I don't care if someone can put their foot behind their head if they are still mean to people or steal or manipulate. I'm more interested that people use the physical yoga, the mental yoga, and the emotional yoga to transform inside into new people, essentially. When I say new, I don't mean their family doesn't recognize them, but the hard edges, the part of our personalities that we know aren't our best, should be, through the work, become softer edges. If we tend to be angry type people, we become less angry. If we tend to be fearful, we become less fearful. And ultimately, we become more joyful. Now, the result of this is that we start making decisions differently. If we feel different, someone who's suffering makes different decisions than someone who isn't suffering. So if someone isn't suffering, they make all decisions differently. I eat this, not that. I'm this person's friend more, this person not so much, I don't trust them. I go here, not there. And so the course of our life changes. And this is what I believe has happened to me in a meaningful way, so meaningful that I've devoted my life to this, and this is what I hope I can help be the catalyst of with other people. I believe that when we're practicing postures, the postures should be led by the breath. So the breath is the boss. Yeah. The breath leads us through our body. So they work together as a team, but the breath is the leader. This is what I mean when I say breath-initiated movement. I know that what I teach is not the only form of this. There are many forms. But I have seen more people transform in a more meaningful way, a deeper way through breathing exercises than with only physical exercise. As you know, I don't teach pranayama, I teach breathing exercises. And what I mean by that is I try to avoid names which will scare people off. Just the word pranayama to beginners scares them off. And so I talk about breathing and tell them why they should breathe, about the benefits that they can get. Too many people, I feel, teach pranayama without this. They don't mention, if you breathe well, it can help you sleep. Well, sleep disorder is the #1 complaint in the Western world right now. If you learn to breathe well, it can help you to lift out of depression. Well, the use of antidepressants have doubled in the Western world in the last 10 years, etc. So if you explain to people, this is why we do it, people now, they listen and now they're motivated. If you just say, breathe this way because I said so, people aren't so interested and they won't try very hard. Yes, it is possible that breathing exercises under certain circumstances could be dangerous. In general, I think it's dangerous not to do them. I think it's sad if people don't do them, because it's like anything. If you eat too much salt, it will kill you, But that doesn't mean we shouldn't put salt on our food. I think this is not something people should be so concerned with, but people should be working with a teacher who knows what they're doing. I don't think I have attained enlightenment as I've read about it. We don't really know. When the Buddha says enlightenment or someone else says enlightenment, I don't think that I have attained that. But you could say a lower level of enlightenment is Samadhi. And I think many of us who practice yoga and breathing and meditation have achieved Samadhi maybe for 20 minutes, for an hour here, 2 hours there, maybe even half a day sometimes. Maybe a little bit every time we meditate, or most of the time. And I think this is very accessible to people. And people who attain Samadhi at great length, I think, appear to be different than other people. And the greater enlightenment, I believe, might be a bit of a different process that we have partial control over. I don't know if we have complete control. For instance, there's the subject of grace. You know, you could say it this way, that prayer and meditation is reaching toward God, and grace is when God reaches back. Yeah. And you know, the Sufi term or Islamic term is baraka, and basically means the same, God's blessing. And I think ultimate awakening has partly to do with this. Effort, great effort, but also this intervention that I'm speaking of. Everyone experiences suffering. Some people experience much more than others. Suffering is caused at first by external circumstances, as you know. Then what we do with that suffering is up to us. You know, there are people, for instance, in the concentration camps in World War II who suffered the same experience in the concentration camp. And I use this because they're extreme circumstances, so very vivid to visualize. But not everyone reacted the same way. The writer Viktor Frankl writes about this, where he says he saw prisoners who were not all good people. He says some prisoners stole from each other, stole food from children or whatever, and other people took what little food they had and shared it and tried to help other people and heal them. So even in these extreme circumstances, people chose to react differently to it. So it's the same thing with prisoners. How different is a prisoner's life from a monk's life? You know, both people live in a small cell. They wear all the same clothes. They have a shaved head. They eat bad food. They maybe are a little bit cold at night. But one chooses to be there, and one is there by force. So if you suffer pain, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have any kind of spiritual growth from it. But it can be spiritual growth if you choose to approach pain that way. So you can have two people, let's say, who are in a bad car accident with the same injuries, side by side in the hospital, but one will just suffer pain and the other will have a spiritual experience. One can supersede the pain, that you can not block it out, but detach from it, go above it, you could say, and so that it doesn't frighten you anymore, and you know that you will survive, and that you are not that pain, and you are also not that pleasure, and experiences, sensual experiences such as pain and pleasure, are not part of you. I think when pain happens to most people, first of all, we're afraid of pain. It scares us, and we try to resist it with all our might. But once one breathes deeply, one can relax, get over the fear, and eventually supersede the pain, so that we are, as the Buddha said, unattached to it, which is different than blocking it out. You can block it out with drugs. It doesn't give you a spiritual experience, painkillers. But one can achieve a level of consciousness above the pain, where one may not have discovered it had they not had that extreme pain or confinement.